Chapter 885. When Zhuang Ku'er was outside, she saw through the glass cabinet that Ningxi was looking at those clothes very attentively. Later, when she came in, she happened to see the scene of her being ridiculed by the staff and the other women, so she couldn't help but buy these clothes for her. Ningxi looked at the girl's serious expression, as if she wanted to make her happy and support her. She felt that her heart was about to melt. How could she be so cute? At this moment, looking at the scene in front of them, Ying Fanglin and Jin Shenxian looked at each other, and the staff were all dumbfounded. No one had expected that this distinguished customer, whom their boss treated so politely, would know this customer who couldn't afford to buy clothes but refused to leave. Moreover, they seemed to be very close. The most embarrassing thing was that they all thought that Miss Zhuang liked the clothes in their store, and kept praising her for her good temperament and taste. But in the end, it turned out that she didn't like the clothes in their store at all. She just bought them for someone else. At this moment, the most shocked person was Ning Xueluo. Since when did Ningxi have such a relationship with Zhuang Ku'er? After learning about Zhuang Lingyu's background, she had been trying to get in touch with the Zhuang family for a long time. She thought that Zhuang Ku'er, who was about the same age as her, would be the best target. Unfortunately, the gap between their identities was too big, and it was too difficult to find a suitable opportunity to get in touch with her. Today, she had finally met Zhuang Ku'er, who had taken the initiative to visit her store. It was a great opportunity that had fallen from the sky. Who knew that the moment she turned around, the opportunity had turned into a stick that smacked her right in the face. Xiaoxi. What's wrong? Zhuang Ku'er was actually very meticulous and sensitive. She seemed to have noticed something and asked uneasily, Did I make a mistake? You don't like this brand of clothes? Ningxi didn't want to lie to her, so she nodded and said directly, Yes, I really don't like it. Hearing this, Ning Xueluo gritted her teeth so hard that they almost broke. Damn it, this bitch did it on purpose. How dare she deliberately slander Histati in front of Zhuang Ku'er? What a stubborn duck. She didn't like it, yet she came to see it for so long. If Ningxi's words were a little more euphemistic, she could take the opportunity to make friends with Zhuang Ku'er. At that time, it would not be a problem to give Ningxi a few more clothes. In the end, Ningxi, this bitch, actually said such a thing. Humph, this bitch thought that she had hit her. Didn't she know that her blunt refusal was simply making Zhuang Ku'er lose face in front of so many people? Zhuang Ku'er was such a proud young lady. Even if she had a good relationship with you, how could she tolerate Ningxi's impudent and rude behavior? I see. I thought you liked it. Zhuang Ku'er's eyes dimmed a little. Ningxi looked at the girl who was obviously at a loss. Her eyes were full of intimacy and true love. She said slowly, I didn't like you at first, but, what? Zhuang Ku'er looked nervous. Ningxi took the bag from one of Zhuang Ku'er's hands, then naturally held her other hand, turned to her, and gave her an extremely doting smile. But, love me, love my dog. Chapter 886. The moment the hoarse and touching love me, love my dog ended, Zhuang Ku'er's heart felt as if it was wrapped in warm seawater. Her original nervousness and insecurity dissipated, as if she was being comforted by a gentle hand, gently stroking her head and comforting her. Ever since she was a child, her father had given her and her brother a military-style education. Her mother was also very strict with her. She had never felt so pampered before. Zhuang Ku'er looked at her hand held by Ningxi and felt the girl's soft and warm palm. Suddenly, she put all the clothes in her other hand on the sofa and threw the bags in Ningxi's hand over. Then, she took Ningxi's arm and said happily, Since you don't like them, let's go shopping at the places you like. As Zhuang Ku'er said this, she happily pulled Ningxi out of the shop. The clothes that were praised by Ning Xueluo, Ying Fanglin, Jin Shenxian, and the shop assistants just now were thrown in the shop without even looking at them. Boss, this. At this time, a shop assistant finally reacted and looked at the clothes awkwardly. Ning Xueluo suppressed the surging emotions in her heart and calmed herself down. Return all the money that Miss Zhuang just paid to her account. The shop assistant nodded repeatedly. Okay. Ying Fanglin looked at the direction in which Ningxi and Zhuang Ku'er left with a surprised face. Xueluo, what the hell is going on? Why is Zhuang Ku'er so nice to that country bumpkin Ningxi? Jin Xianxian curled her lips. Who knows what kind of crooked tricks that bitch used? Ying Fanglin snorted coldly. Ha, what kind of family is the Zhuang family? They are not people she can associate with. If Zhuang Kuer's two superiors find out that someone dares to lead their daughter astray, she will suffer. Hearing this, Ning Xueluo's eyes suddenly lit up. If she planned it well, maybe she could take this opportunity to completely eliminate all future troubles. Otherwise, if Ning Xi really had any relationship with the Zhuang family, it would be troublesome. Zhuang Kuer was happily shopping with Ning Xi when her phone rang. It was the latest message from the bank, showing that the money she had just paid at Histati was returned. What happened? It's nothing. The shop just refunded me the money I spent on the clothes. She naturally knew what Ning Xueluo was thinking. There were too many people like her, so she did not take them to heart. However, there was one thing that caught her attention. Zhuang Kuer seemed to have thought of something. She looked at Ning Xi and asked hesitantly, 1111, do you have any grudges with those people just now? Do you need help? Looking at Zhuang Kuer's concerned eyes, Ning Xi felt warm in her heart. It's okay. He's just an insignificant person. If there's anything you need, you must let me know. All right. By the way, Xiaoxi, the clothes you're wearing are so beautiful. What brand is it? I heard them say something about Ling. Do you like this brand of clothes? Zhuang Kuer's eyes were shining, and she looked like she was going to buy all of them for her. Ning Xi chuckled. It's CE Ling. It has a similar style to History, so we can be considered competitors. But this brand has just started and doesn't have the influence that History has now. Chapter 887. It doesn't matter. Liking is the most important thing, let's go buy it. Zhuang Kuer said excitedly. No need. Ning Xi said. Ah. Why? In fact, you don't have to feel guilty. My family and I are very grateful to you for saving my grandpa. But it's disrespectful to give you money directly, so I just want to help you as much as I can. Ning Xi said gently, I know what you mean. As I said, it's just a piece of cake. You don't have to worry about it. If you always treat me as your benefactor, I will really feel pressured. I'm really happy with you and we get along well, so I want to make friends with you. Me too, me too. Zhuang Kuer nodded repeatedly. So, just take it as a gift from me to your friend. Ning Xi laughed. You really don't have to. Ziling is my own brand. Ah, really? Zhuang Kuer was surprised and delighted. Then, Ning Xi and Zhuang Kuer chatted and shopped as if they had endless topics to talk about. Before they knew it, it was already evening. They found a place to sit down and have dinner. Zhuang Kuer listened to Ning Xi telling her about the interesting things she had done abroad and some ingenious opportunities to establish Ziling Studio. Her eyes were full of yearning. Xiaoxi, I envy you so much. You live such a free and wonderful life. You have encountered so many interesting things. You have someone you like and you have a dream and a goal to work hard for. Every day is so fulfilling. Ning Xi didn't expect that she would be envied one day. Speaking of envy, you should be the one who should be envied by everyone, right? Now, although she was walking towards the light step by step, there was also darkness and despair behind her. Zhuang Kuer gave a wry smile. Yes, I have everything and can get anything I want easily. But I have been doing everything step by step according to my family's expectations since I was a child. I don't know what I want at all, nor do I want to do anything in particular. The premise of everything I do is to abandon my selfishness and take family's honor as the premise. Isn't this a kind of tragedy? Everyone has their own troubles. Even the richest man in the world is the same. Just like how people know the temperature of the water they drink, Ning Xi said and couldn't help but think of Zhuang Rongguang. She suddenly realized that Zhuang Kuer and Zhuang Rongguang were polar opposites. Zhuang Kuer completely obeyed all the arrangements of her family and was raised to be the most perfect lady and socialite, while Zhuang Rongguang was completely rebellious, completely subverting the expectations of his family and growing up wantonly. After dinner, Ning Xi took Zhuang Kuer to the arcade city. It was hard to imagine that it was Zhuang Kuer's first time in the video game city. Everything she saw was new. Hubby, I want that long-eared rabbit. Okay, wait, Hubby will help you. I'm not bragging. Your husband is an expert at picking up dolls. Hubby is the best. You can do it, hubby. What are they doing? Zhuangku looked curiously at the row of glass cabinets next to them. It was filled with all kinds of cute dolls. In front of one of them, a man stuffed a few pieces of hard skin into the hole, and then focused on pressing the red button on it. Pick up dolls, 1 chance for 1 coin. Want to play? Ningxi asked. Chapter 888. But I don't know how to. Zhuangku hesitated. It's okay. Try it. Ningxi stuffed a few coins in and taught Zhuangku. Well, Xiaoxi, which one do you like? I'll catch it for you. Zhuangku was eager to try. Unfortunately, Zhuangku was a bit unlucky. She didn't catch a single doll after putting in 10 coins. She almost cried. Ha ha ha, beautiful, you can't do that. There are techniques to catch dolls. Don't you know that you're just giving us money? The man next to her said in a proud tone after putting in 3 coins and catching a doll. Seeing that Ningxi and Zhuangku were both rare beauties, his eyes almost glued to them. His girlfriend was right next to him, but he dared to flirt with them. What do you think? Do you need my help? You bastard. You can't walk when you see a pretty girl, right? I'm not dead yet. Oh, I'm just helping you for your own good. The noise here soon attracted the attention of some single guys in the video arcade. Soon, several of them came up. After all, most of the people here were couples or boys. Girls like Ningxi and Zhuangku, who were both beauties, were really rare. Beauty, which one do you want? Let me help you. Get out of here. Your stinky hands. Beautiful sister, let me do it. I'm very good. I promise within 3 times, no, within 2 times, I'll catch it for you. After her 18th failure, Zhuangku was completely frustrated. She had been praised as smart and excellent since she was a child. She didn't expect that she would fail in such a small game. Moreover, she just said that she would catch a doll for Ningxi. It hurt her self-esteem. In addition, the boys next to her kept chattering and fawning on her, which made her feel even worse. Ningxi glanced at the teenagers who were obviously young and should be students. They were trying to hook up with girls. She continued to put in 12 coins unhurriedly. Let me do it. Okay. Zhuangku nodded dejectedly and gave up her position. You point and I'll catch it. Ningxi said to Zhuangku. I wanted to catch that rabbit for you, but I just couldn't catch it. Zhuangku said angrily. Okay. Ningxi glanced at the glass cabinet and pressed it down with a pa sound. Hey, beauty, you can't do that. Don't you know that there are techniques to catch dolls? That rabbit's position is very difficult to catch. Catch the one near the entrance. You pressed it too fast just now. He had to find the right time. Don't press it randomly. Hearing the noise, Ningxi turned her head and glanced at the youngsters beside her. Shut up, you're so noisy. Do you guys have too little homework? Why aren't you home so late? Oh, this beautiful sister is so fierce. But it's so cool. Beautiful sister, you caught him, you caught him. At this time, several people suddenly began to shout. Zhuangku was also surprised. Xiaoxi, you really caught it. She had clearly just pressed it casually, but she really caught it. She was so lucky. Ningxi calmly took out the rabbit and stuffed it into Zhuangku's arms. Then, she continued to catch. Then, the little pig, the little yellow chick, the little white sheep, and the little tiger. Ningxi actually used the 12 coins to catch a whole 12 zodiac animal. Behind her, the youngsters who were still clamoring looked at the plush dolls in Zhuangku's arms. They were so shocked that their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Chapter 889. Wow. Sister, you're awesome. What a great chance. Goddess. Please accept my kowtow. Can you teach me how to do it? I also want to learn. If I learn it, I won't have to worry about flirting with girls. Go back and do your homework, okay? You're still young and you're already thinking about flirting with girls. Ningxi helped Zhuangku get a few dolls, took her hand and turned to leave. Zhuangke looked at Ningxi with sparkling eyes, full of admiration. Behind her, the teenagers muttered, "We're still young. What's wrong with that? You're a girl and you're so good at flirting with girls. You're not giving a man a way out." After coming out of the arcade, Zhuangke happily carried a bag of dolls that Ningxi had caught for her. Her face was flushed with excitement. "Xiaoxi, I'm so happy today." "Me too. Can we hang out again next time?" Zhuangke asked expectantly. "Of course." "Great." Zhuangke was overjoyed. As they walked along the road, Zhuangke stole a glance at Ningxi and then at her again. "What's wrong?" Ningxi asked. Zhuangke immediately shook her head, but her face became redder and redder as if she was thinking of something. Ningxi chuckled. "Just say it. We're friends, aren't we?" "I." Zhuangke hesitated and finally stopped. Then she stammered, "Xiaoxi, I have a presumptuous request. Tell me, as long as I can do it." Ningxi looked at her and said without hesitation. Zhuangke's slightly swaying eyes reflected the moonlight above her head. She looked at her expectantly and said, "Can I see my male god?" Ningxi raised her eyebrows slightly when she heard this. She was obviously taken aback. Meet her Prince Charming? Did Zhuangke mean she wanted to see her in men's clothes? If she wanted her to wear men's clothes, it wouldn't be difficult. However, Lu Tingxiao was a vinegar jar. If he accidentally found out about it, she would have to spend a lot of effort to appease him. Seeing that Ningxi did not speak, Zhuangke hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry. I know my request is too presumptuous. Just pretend I didn't say anything." Ningxi thought for a while and looked at Zhuangke carelessly. "Of course you can. Moreover, you will have many opportunities to meet your idol in the future," Ningxi said in a joking tone. What? Many opportunities? Zhuangke didn't quite understand what she meant. "I just took a role in a new show recently. It's a girl dressed as a man," Ningxi replied. "Ah, really?" Zhuangke was so excited that she didn't even care about her ladylike demeanor and screamed. "Sure, this is a secret. You can't tell anyone." "Well, I won't tell anyone," Zhuangke immediately said. "When we start filming, I can tell the director that you're my friend and ask you to visit me. As long as it doesn't affect the filming, it shouldn't be a problem to not reveal the content of the filming." Zhuangke looked excited. "Really? That was great. I will definitely not reveal it. Actually, I've always been curious about how the show is filmed." Seeing how happy Zhuangke was, Ningxi also heaved a sigh of relief. If this was the arrangement, it wouldn't be a one-on-one meeting. The devil wouldn't be angry, would he? Sigh, she had really racked her brains. Chapter 890. Xiaoxi, thank you. Thank you. I really like you. Zhuangke turned around and hugged her. There was nothing more delightful than being hugged by such a lovely girl. Ningxi smiled. "I like you too." At this moment, a car's headlights shone over, and then, a black Maybach slowly stopped beside the two of them. The car door opened and a pair of slender legs stepped out. Then, Lu Tingxiao, who was covered in frost, suddenly appeared in front of her. At this moment, Ningxi almost knelt to the heavens. Damn it, are you kidding me? Why did it happen again? Why? Why was she caught by the devil every time she did something bad? She was so tired. Ningxi hurriedly let go of Zhuangke. "Lu Tingxiao, why are you here?" Lu Tingxiao's face darkened. "To pick you up." Ningxi suddenly remembered what Lu Tingxiao said to her last night. He could see her, but she was not allowed to cross the line. Now, she was slapped in the face as soon as she made that promise. "I was going to send you home." Zhuangke was obviously unhappy to see Lu Tingxiao. She felt that Lu Tingxiao was not worthy of Xiaoxi at all. He was as cold and hard as a rock and had a scary expression all day long. Xiaoxi was so pitiful. Was Xiaoxi really forced to be with him? The more Zhuangke thought about it, the more worried she became. Avoiding Lu Tingxiao, she pulled Ningxi aside and whispered, "Xiaoxi, don't be afraid of him. If he bullies you, you must tell me. Don't force yourself. Although I can't do anything about it, I can ask my father and grandfather for help. Ningxi looked at Zhuang Kuo gratefully, then turned her head and looked at the great demon king behind her, who was watching her whisper to Zhuang Kuo and had a frightening expression on his face. No wonder Zhuang Kuo suspected that she was being bullied when she saw him like that. However, in fact, he had been indulging and spoiling her from the beginning to the end, even to the point that he had no principles. Kuo, thank you, but don't worry. He won't bully me. Besides, I love him very much. I won't force myself to be bullied. I'm willing. When Lu Tingxiao heard this, his displeased expression turned into one of astonishment. It was the first time he heard Ningxi say something like this. She said she loved him. Happiness came so suddenly. Zhuang Kuo had always found it hard to understand that Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi were a perfect match. At this moment, looking at Ningxi's extremely serious expression and the warmth in her eyes when she looked at Lu Tingxiao, he suddenly believed that the two of them really loved each other. I'm leaving. Let's hang out next time. Drive slowly. Ningxi said goodbye to Zhuang Kuo. Zhuang Kuo waved her hand reluctantly. Well, okay. While they were talking, Zhuang Kuo's bag accidentally broke, and the dolls inside rolled all over the ground. Ningxi and Zhuang Kuo. Lu Tingxiao bent down and picked up a rabbit. What are these? Holding a pile of dolls in her arms, Zhuang Kuo said proudly, Xiaoxi helped me catch these dolls. Zhuang Kuo held a pile of dolls in her arms and said proudly, Xiaoxi caught them for me. This one won't do. Lu Tingxiao said. He actually kept the rabbit for himself and refused to return it. Not this one. Lu Tingxiao said and kept the rabbit for himself. Zhuang Kuo stomped her feet. Hey. Lu Tingxiao pinched the rabbit expressionlessly. It's mine. Ningxi was speechless. Great Demon King, can you be a little more childish? Chapter 891. Downstairs of the apartment. Then I'll go up first. Good night. Ningxi was about to get out of the car when Lu Tingxiao suddenly reached out and grabbed her arm, stopping her from getting out of the car. Say it again. Huh? What did you say? Ningxi turned her head and looked at him, confused. What you said to Zhuang Kuo just now. Lu Tingxiao stared at her, two clusters of sparks dancing in his cold eyes. What did I say to Zhuang Kuo? Ningxi blinked, pretending to be confused. Zhuang Kuo said I would bully you, and your answer, Lu Tingxiao said. The sparks gradually spread into a sea. Oh, about that. Ningxi touched her chin, trying to recall, then said, thank you, but don't worry, he won't bully me. Also, you won't feel wronged or forced. Also, willingly. Lu Tingxiao pursed his lips tightly as he didn't hear the words he wanted to hear. It was obvious that he was in a bad mood. Phut. Ningxi finally couldn't help but laugh. It was rare to see Lu Tingxiao so cute. The next second, she suddenly leaned close to him. Her hoarse and low voice seemed to have a bewitching power. Accompanied by her warm breath, it rang in his ear. I love him very much. Then, before Lu Tingxiao could turn the tables, she turned around and ran away, waving her hands slyly as she ran. Oya, Smith. Lu Tingxiao cursed under his breath as he looked at the one that ran away after teasing him. He glanced at the fluffy white rabbit plushie from the corner of his eye and pinched the rabbit's ear as if punishing it. In the next few days, Ningxi continued to follow up on the situation at SF Company, but was told that the person in charge was on a business trip and hadn't returned yet, so she had to put this matter aside for the time being. The good news was that Ningxi played the role of the first love of the male lead in R18. Although she only appeared for a few minutes, it made her a little famous. After the movie ended, many people asked who played the role of the first love, but the result of the search on the internet turned out to be Liang Biqin. However, that face could not be Liang Biqin's no matter how he looked at it, because there were too many people asking. The official Weibo of the film responded immediately. At the same time, the official Weibo account posted a stills of his first love in We Are 18 and a stills of Meng Chang'e in the world, and tagged Ningxi and Jiang Mui. After knowing who the actor was, everyone was stunned. The actress of First Love was actually the same person who played the role of Meng Chang'e, the demon concubine who brings disaster to the country in the world. In the world, Ningxi was seductive, enchanting, unruly, and hot-blooded. In addition, she was dressed in an ancient costume with heavy makeup. So, when she suddenly played a modern character, and it was such a pure and beautiful character, no one recognized her. Although a few of the audience had their suspicions, none of them dared to believe that it was really her. From the devastatingly beautiful Yarrow concubine female general to an 18-year-old young girl in the prime of her youth, such a huge leap was played by her without any sense of incongruity. She really was what she played. What made the fans even more excited was that the popular couple, Meng Chang'e and Sun Huanqing, had actually gotten together again in modern times. What was even more coincidental was that the ending of the two was a life and death separation, causing the netizens to sigh endlessly. At the same time, the couple's CP fans had grown once again. Chapter 892. When Han Momo knew that Ning Shi and Jiang Mui were in the same scene in this film, she went to the cinema to watch it 3 times just for these few minutes. There were many fans like Han Momo. Later, the producers even used the modern version of the world as a gimmick to attract the audience to the cinema. The investors also asked Shen Mion to give Ning Shi a big red packet as a thank you, and also hoped that she could cooperate with the promotion. Ning Shi really didn't expect such an unexpected gain. However, she certainly wouldn't refuse such a win-win situation. She reposted the official Weibo post and followed it to several roadshows. However, amidst the praises, it was inevitable that there were some other voices mixed in. Gradually, there were also some negative comments on the internet. This role should have been played by Liang Biqin, right? Why did it become Ning Shi in the end? Do you need to ask? Someone must have stolen the role. How shameless. She stole the role in order to curry favor with Jiang Mui. She must be crazy. She didn't even let go of a cameo. I really don't know what Jiang Mui sees in her. He's so stupid to be used by her. In fact, when Ning Shi was interested in the cross-dressing drama, the investment of the script was only 10 million yuan. It was just a small production. With her fame, although it was impossible for her to become the leading actress in a big production, she could still fight for a small production like this one. Unexpectedly, after Liang Biqin took over the film, she suddenly made such a big scene. It was a modern drama with the highest investment and a gathering of stars. Obviously, Liang Biqin had hired a water army. With the support of Su Yimo, the future proprietress of Shengshe Entertainment, she crazily slandered Ning Shi. Unfortunately, before Ning Shi and Lin Jiji could do anything, Shen Mion had already come forward to refute the rumor. She said that Liang Biqin had unilaterally torn up the contract and stood them up, so she had asked Ning Shi to come to their rescue. There was no such thing as stealing the role. She also severely criticized Liang Biqin's behavior and said that she would never use her in any of her movies in the future. In Shengshe Entertainment, Ning Shi received a call from Lin Jiji and needed to go to the company. In the corridor, she ran into Liang Biqin and the others. The opposition between Ning Shi and Su Yimo and her party was already on the table. As long as it wasn't a public place, there was no need to be polite even if they met, so neither side had any intention of paying attention to the other. Ning Shi just walked straight forward without looking sideways. Behind her, Liang Biqin deliberately raised her voice as if she was afraid that she couldn't hear her. Oh yes, did you know? That Shen Mion said that he would ban me and that he would never use me in his movies in the future. He's just a has-been director. Does he really think he's something? Isn't that so? Our 18-foot had such a huge publicity campaign, but they haven't even gotten back the money yet. You don't even know how to find a stronger backer. When Biqin's new movie comes out, Shen Mion's era will almost be over. By the way, what has Ning Shi been busy with recently? Have you accepted any new roles? She's just tied to Jiang Mui to promote Shen Mion's lousy movie. I haven't heard of any new roles. I think even if she did, it would be a mediocre one. If she had accepted a big production, it would have been publicized all over the world. Chapter 893. When they arrived at the company, Lin Jiji informed Ning Shi of the shooting schedule and time of the new show and asked her to go back and prepare. A few days later, it was finally the day of the shooting. Because it was Ning Shi's first day there, she needed to try on her costume. In addition, her makeup was special, so it would take more time. So, she deliberately went to the set a lot earlier. As the female lead, she had a separate makeup room, and the crew specially assigned a special makeup artist for her. After a while, Shun Han-chen, who played the male lead, and Chi Fang, who played the third male lead, arrived one after another. After greeting each other and having their makeup done, they sat on the side and waited. Both of them looked young, in their early 20s. Both of them were very good-looking. Perhaps because they had not been exposed to the entertainment industry, they naturally exuded a youthful aura. The rarest thing was that in the entertainment industry where plastic surgery was rampant, both of their looks were very recognizable. Shun Han-chen came from a well-off family and had been doted on since he was a child. At this moment, he was lying on the chair with his eyes slightly closed. There was a faint trace of Jiang Mui's shadow on him. Because of his dazzling appearance and flamboyant temperament, he was like a glowing object that could easily attract the attention of girls. It was very fitting for the image of the male lead in the show. Chi Fang, on the other hand, looked like a young boy. In fact, he was not very old, only 19 years old. When he spoke, 2 small canine teeth were faintly visible, which was very cute. Probably because his image was not good enough, he had not found a suitable role after signing with the company for more than a year. His agent was his aunt, who had always taken good care of him and was reluctant to randomly arrange a role for him. Until he auditioned for the third male lead in Shun Mion's new show, Dream Seeker. Although it was only the third male lead, the director was Shun Mion, who was known as the God of Machines. When his aunt found out that he had passed the interview, she was ecstatic and immediately finalized the contract. "Hey, Brother Chen, I heard that the female lead is a great beauty. I wonder if she is as beautiful in real life as in the movie." After all, Chi Fang was young and could not stay still. He could not help but start a conversation with Shun Han-chen. Shun Han-chen still closed his eyes and did not speak, as if he was not interested. Although he was also a newcomer, he was different from Chi Fang. He was a contracted actor of Fengxing Media, one of the 3 giants in the entertainment industry. He had been trained professionally for a long time, and the company's goal was to create a second Jiang Mui. Therefore, Shun Han-chen, who had a background and resources, was inevitably arrogant. He did not want to talk to Chi Fang, and did not want to talk with him. He was even more disdainful of the female lead who was being bragged about. She was just a third-rate actress who played a supporting role. Even though she was the female lead, she was still the same as the others. She was just a supporting role for him. Plus, he had already discussed it with his manager. If the woman's acting was really terrible, he would quit the cast even if he had to break the contract. For now, he could only trust Shun Mion's judgment. Previously, during their discussion, her agent had been analyzing the situation with him. She speculated that Shun Mion's insistence on filming on her own and not accepting any investments or roles meant that she had a trump card. Otherwise, she wouldn't have dared to do what she did, and who knew what. Chapter 894. Qi Xin was more mature and didn't mind Shun Han-chen's cold attitude. She sighed and murmured worriedly, "I don't know what the director is thinking. He found such a woman to play the female lead role. When the time comes, how girly will the male lead be? Will this show really be popular?" After all, this was his first show, and it was related to his future. Back then, Shun Mion had indeed made a lot of people famous, especially the classic stars, Moon, and Sunday. Even the male lead in the show became popular. However, things were different now. It was a fact that Shun Mion had been going downhill all these years, not to mention that the investment for this show was so small. Forget it, he was just a newcomer. It was good enough that he had a role, especially with a famous director like Shun Mion. As for the rest, it was up to fate and luck. The entertainment industry was a place where luck was important. The 2 of them sat for a while before the third female lead, Ji Yuming, arrived. "Wow. So beautiful, Tilda." Chi Fang looked at the newcomer and couldn't help but exclaim. Shun Han-chen raised his eyelids and took a few more glances. Ji Yuming was indeed beautiful, and she had a lively, cute, and pure temperament. It was easy to arouse a man's desire to protect her. However, the beauty looked a little unhappy at the moment. She walked forward quickly with a huff, and her manager followed behind her, wiping away her sweat and trying to persuade her in a low voice. I already said I don't want to play the third female lead. Even a vixen like Ning, she can play the female lead. Why can't I? Lower your voice, my little ancestor. This is a set, not your home. Are you afraid that people won't hear you by speaking so loudly? If they hear me, then they hear me. I'm just not convinced. Last time, I saw Shen Mion speak up for that woman on the internet. I don't even know how she became the female lead. Shut up. Be careful what you say outside. How many times have I told you? Don't talk about others. Don't you know your own situation? You definitely can't handle the female lead, and you're not even qualified to play the second female lead. The third female lead is the most suitable role for you. Do you think it's easy to play the female lead in this show? This kind of role is pleasing to the eye, but if you don't pay attention, you'll become a black mark. After being reprimanded, Ji Yumeng temporarily suppressed her resentment. Her gaze fell on Shen Hanchen and Qi Fang, two handsome men with different temperaments but equally pleasing to the eye. Her eyes lit up and her expression softened. Which girl of this age wouldn't like to act with a handsome guy? Ji Yumeng walked over and greeted them. Hello, I'm Ji Yumeng. Hello, I am Qi Fang. Shen Hanchen. Shen Hanchen. I've heard of you. The most handsome guy in Beijing film, right? I've heard a lot about you. Qi Fang, were you the bassist of the band Joy? I have a sister who likes you very much. She thinks that you are very cute. Ha ha ha, I'm always praised for being cute, but why aren't there any beauties praising me for being handsome? Beauty Ji, you're not bad either. I heard that you were the first to enter Beijing Film Academy. When Ji Yumeng wasn't angry or throwing a tantrum, she was quite easy to get along with. Because of the lively and cheerful Ji Yumeng's addition, and the fact that the three of them were all young people, they quickly got along. Sigh, it seems that Director Shen is going to use our looks to prop up this show. Qi Fang spread out his hands and teased. Ji Yumeng puffed her cheeks. I'm so afraid that I won't be able to act. Even if she's a woman dressed as a man, she's still a woman. I'm drooling over a woman, and I even have to sit on her lap for today's scene. Oh my god, just thinking about it gives me goosebumps. Chapter 895. Qi Fang burst out laughing and secretly glanced at Shen Hanchen. You should be content. There's someone here who's even more miserable than you. Ji Yumeng nodded and couldn't help but laugh. That's right. Hanchen has to pretend that he can't tell that a sissy is a man. He calls him brother and talks about love. Shen Hanchen's expression didn't look too good as he listened. The few of them were chatting in full swing when a young man walked in their direction. That person had a head of slightly messy black hair and bangs that covered some of his eyes. He was wearing a slightly exaggerated tattered pair of jeans, a leather motorcycle jacket, and black marten boots. His whole body exuded a sharp and penetrating aura. Shen Mion, who was in the middle of setting up the set, saw the man and walked up to talk to him. After seeing Shen Mion, the young man's arrogant aura disappeared. He lowered his eyes and listened attentively, nodding from time to time. The director's assistant attentively handed him a bottle of water. The man reached out to take it and smiled gratefully at the girl. When this man was talking to the director, his expression did not change. However, when his gaze fell on the girl who handed him the water, the atmosphere around him suddenly changed. It was warmer than the winter sun, softer than the spring water, and so doting that it could drown a person to death. Then, the little assistant covered her reddened face and ran away. The moment she saw the man, Ji Yumeng suddenly stopped talking. After a long while, she stammered, Who? Who is that? The person who is talking to the director. The male lead, the third male lead, and the third female lead are all here. The second female lead will join the cast in a few days. Only the female lead and the second male lead haven't arrived yet. So, it should be the second male lead, Ku Mingyu. Qi Fang guessed. Then, the instinctive rejection of those who were stronger than him made him suddenly vigilant. Fuck. He wasn't the handsome type to begin with. It was bad enough that the male lead, Shen Hanchen, was suppressing him. Now that the second male lead was also so handsome, how could he still have a sense of existence in this film? Ku Mingyu. At that moment, Shun Hanshen's expression completely changed. He suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. He had inquired about the lead actors in advance. Ku Mingyu's appearance and temperament were clearly very ordinary. How could this be? Was there a mistake somewhere? However, just as he was comforting himself, the director had already walked in their direction with the man. Shun Mion clapped her hands and beckoned them over. Come, let me introduce you. Shun Hanshen's expression instantly tensed up. He didn't think that it would really be the second male lead. As the saying goes, two tigers cannot share one mountain, but Shun Mion found someone like this to play the second male lead. What was the meaning of this? Ji Yumeng, whose gaze had been lingering on Shun Hanchen, was now completely glued to the man in front of her. She was still immersed in the man's gentle smile. This is Shun Hanchen, who plays the male lead. This is Qi Fang, one of the male lead's roommates. This is Ji Yumeng, who plays the female lead's best friend. Shun Mion introduced them to Ningxi one by one, then looked at the other three and said, "This is Ningxi, the female lead of our movie." Chapter 896. What? Qi Fang was about to say hello to Ku Mingyu when he heard the director's last words. He was dumbfounded and even picked his ears. "Director, what did you just say?" Ji Yumeng looked suspicious. "Director, did you make a mistake? Isn't he the second male lead, Ku Mingyu?" Shun Mion looked at the three young people, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. "Who told you he's the second male lead?" Shun Hanchen looked at the man in front of him with a dull expression. She's Ningxi?" Qi Fang asked, "Is she the female lead?" Ji Yumeng said, "Director, are you sure? Stop fooling around, director." Shun Mion shook her head with a smile. "Ningxi, explain it to them." Ningxi looked innocent. "How do you want me to explain? It took me 2 hours to get the makeup done." She couldn't ask her to change into women's clothes for them to see, could she? Shun Mion coughed. She really couldn't refute that. How could she be the female lead? Also, she doesn't look like Ningxi. Okay. She does look a little like Ningxi. But something's wrong. Something's wrong. Director, you didn't find a man to play the female lead, did you? Ji Yumeng's imagination ran wild. Qi Fang and Shun Hanchen thought about this possibility seriously. Shun Mion's face darkened. Were all kids so whimsical nowadays? Ningxi put a hand on her forehead and gave a helpless and indulgent smile. Then she picked up Ji Yumeng's hand. Ji Yumeng's heart suddenly raced. "You! What are you doing?" Qi Fang's eyes widened in displeasure. "Fuck, how could this brat hold a girl's hand so casually? I haven't even held a girl's hand yet. Director, don't you care?" However, the next second, Ningxi took Ji Yumeng's hand and pressed it against her chest through her clothes. She said in a low voice, "Okay? Yes. Breasts." Ji Yumeng, who was pressing against Ningxi's chest, almost cried. "You're really a woman. You're really the female lead." Although he could feel that she had wrapped a strip of cloth around her chest, at such a close distance, he could still clearly feel the soft curve of her breasts. "Ew. Fuck. We're both women. You have it, I have it too." He often attacked her chest with his roommates. How could she be so shy after just a light touch? Not to mention Ji Yumeng, even Qi Fang's eyes widened and his face turned red. Shun Hanchen coughed lightly, looking a little uncomfortable. "Well, two tigers cannot live on the same mountain, unless there is a male and a female." Director Shun was very scientific. Shun Mion knocked Ningxi's head speechlessly. "That's enough. Don't mess around." Ningxi blinked her eyes. How was she fooling around? This was indeed the fastest and most effective way to prove it. "Sorry, I'm late." At this time, a panting voice came from behind. The real Ku Mingyu had arrived. Just as they had expected, the second male lead, Ku Mingyu, looked rather ordinary. He had a gentle aura and wasn't aggressive at all. He didn't look like Ningxi at all. When his aura was fully unleashed, he was practically a walking flirt machine. His hormones were off the charts. After confirming that she was a woman, Shun Hanchen looked at Ji Yumeng's excited expression and the director's assistant who kept sneaking glances at them. Although he still felt uncomfortable, he relaxed a little. Women were still women. No matter how well they acted as men, they still had to act. How could they steal the limelight from him, the male lead? He was very confident in himself. Chapter 897. After Ku Mingyu's arrival, everyone got to know each other again. Ku Mingyu was more introverted. After talking to everyone for a while, he quietly sat in the corner and read the script. After a while, the props were finally set up. Okay, everyone get ready. We're starting now. Ning Shi, Ji Yumeng, get ready, Shun Mion said. The first scene was about the female lead's best friend being dumped by a scumbag, and the female lead comforted her. The female lead's real name was Ji Feishue, and she was currently replacing her brother, Ji Feibai. The secret that she was a woman was only known by her best friend, Ning Xiaomeng. 3, 2, 1. Action. After the script was finished, the filming officially began. On the sofa in the living room, Ji Feishue had just finished showering and was wearing loose men's pajamas. His wet hair was a little messy and his body was still steaming from the shower. He took a bottle of water from the fridge, sat on the sofa, and turned on the TV. Because she had been pretending to be a man for a long time, Ji Feishue's every move was almost like a man's. He didn't look like a woman at all, and he raised his head to drink the water. As he watched the TV, the living room door was pushed open from the outside. Ning Xiaomeng was back. Ji Feishue greeted her casually as usual. You're back. Then, the camera switched to Ji Yumeng. Yeah. Ning Xiaomeng didn't look up and only responded sullenly. She was obviously in a bad mood. Although she didn't say anything, Ji Feishue immediately sensed that something was wrong with her and frowned. What's wrong? Ning Xiaomeng dragged her feet slowly to Ji Feishue and didn't say a word. A few seconds later, Ning Xiaomeng's shoulders trembled slightly and her body trembled more and more violently. The next second, tears fell onto the floor one after another. Camera 3, close up, Shun Mion said, staring at the camera without blinking. Shun Hanchen, Qi Fang, and Ku Mingyu were all watching the scene intently. In the camera, Ji Yumeng stood in front of Ning Shi with her head lowered and her face hidden. But from the details of her body, it was obvious how sad she was. Qi Fang sighed. She's indeed a top student. She's amazing. At this moment, Ning Shi moved. Ning Xiaomeng didn't say anything, but Ji Feishue already knew what was going on. With a knowing expression, he grabbed Ning Xiaomeng's hand and pulled her onto his lap. He wiped away her tears with his fingertips and said in a helpless tone, "Baby, don't be sad. Isn't it just a man? Where's your mother? She didn't give birth to you to be defiled by others, but to let you defile others." The moment she heard this, Ji Yumeng felt as if something had struck her heart heavily. Ning Shi's gentle expression and comforting words immediately brought out the deepest grievance and pain in her heart and magnified it infinitely. She thought of her cheating ex-boyfriend. She thought of how he abandoned her to be with an already famous female artist in order to climb up the social ladder. She thought of that rainy night when she walked home alone. From beginning to end, she was alone. The next morning, she had to go to the company for training with a high fever. No one hugged her and comforted her. No one even said to her, "Your mother gave birth to you so beautiful not to let you be defiled by others, but to let you defiled others." Chapter 898. In an instant, Ji Yumeng's tears flowed down like a broken dam. They were silent but heartbreaking, as if all the grievances she had suppressed for a long time had suddenly come gushing out along with her tears. Sometimes, the scariest thing was to be cared for. A few female staff members who were watching from the sidelines even began to cry. Ji Yumeng's crying was too contagious. Ning Shi gently stroked Ji Yumeng's back and comforted her. Okay, don't cry. You look beautiful when you cry, but my heart aches." "Very good. Done." Shun Mion shouted with satisfaction. Done. The first scene was finished in one take, and both of them performed so well. It was a good sign. However, even though Shun Mion had shouted cut, Ji Yumeng didn't stop. She sat in Ning Shi's arms and cried her heart out. Ning Shi couldn't push her away at this time, so she continued to comfort her and pat her head. Shun Mion's mouth twitched. She glanced at Ning Shi and said, Newcomers have low self-control, take it easy. She was speechless. Is this my fault again? Actors' acting styles were divided into experimental and expressive. Shun Han-chen and Ji Yuming, who were trained in acting, mostly learned expressive techniques from school. Experimental actors, on the other hand, had higher requirements for talent. They couldn't be taught by words and actions. Only 1 in 10 million people could do it. She belonged to the latter. She was a classic experimental actor. When acting, she could completely transform herself into another person, even reaching the realm of being one with nature. However, there were very few people like Ningxi. Although these newcomers were talented, they had no experience. If he were to rely on himself as a director, it would take him at least a year or 2 to pass. His first film had been shot on and off for 2 whole years. Nowadays, most films took 2 or 3 months, and some were even released after a few days. No one would spend so much time on a film. He was prepared to fight a long battle for this film, but now it seemed, the time could be greatly reduced. With Ningxi, it was like having a powerful cheating device. She could make the newcomers who acted with her quickly get into character and show their acting skills to the extreme. Just now, Ji Yuming's performance was inspired by Ningxi's acting skills. She used her own experience to play the characters in the play, which was almost equivalent to an experimental performance. Ji Yuming didn't know what was wrong with her. She had been acting perfectly fine, but she had suddenly lost control. By the time she came back to her senses, Ningxi was still comforting her gently, without the slightest bit of impatience. Even her shoulder was wet from her tears. Ji Yuming jumped up in embarrassment. I'm sorry, it's okay. Ningxi smiled good-naturedly and touched her head. You acted very well just now. In an instant, Ji Yuming's face flushed red from being patted on the head. Her face was so hot that an egg could be boiled. Mama. She was about to bend into a boomerang. Not far away, Ku Mingyu's eyes, which had always been calm, clearly shook a few times. Shun Han-chen frowned and had a thoughtful expression. Qi Fang, on the other hand, had black lines on his forehead and the corners of his mouth twitching. Fuck. Who was the one who said that sitting on a woman's lap was too disgusting? He saw that she was so happy sitting there that she couldn't bear to get off, but now she was facing a woman with an expression of a young girl yearning for love. What was she doing? Did she think handsome men like them were dead? Chapter 899. After being praised by Ningxi, Ji Yuming immediately ran to the camera with her hands covering her face. Director, can I see what I just shot? Sure. Shin Mion naturally agreed. Ji Yuming rewatched the footage several times, and the more she watched, the brighter her eyes became. Oh my god. I acted so well just now. In addition to being excited by her own performance, Ningxi sat on her lap and comforted her softly in the video, which made her heart race. Especially the moment when Ningxi held her hand and pulled her down, she was so excited. At this time, Qi Fang also poked his head over to take a look. Some of the crew members cried with you just now. No wonder she's the #1 of Beijing film. She's already here. Ji Yuming's sudden performance naturally doubled the pressure on the rest of them. They were all newcomers and had similar beginnings, so it was inevitable that they would be compared to each other. They were also secretly competing with each other. Ji Yuming shook her head when she heard this, and her eyes glowed with a strange light. I've always been very confident in my acting skills, but there's no way I could act this well on my own. It's all because of Senior Ningxi. The feeling of acting with her is really amazing. I can't describe that feeling. It was as if a pair of hands were carefully holding me, guiding me step by step to the right place, to a higher place, not too fast, not too slow. I could feel that she was deliberately helping me get into character. Qi Fang scratched his head. Isn't that a bit too unbelievable? I've seen her under the heavens, and I admit that her acting skills are not bad, but there are many capable people in the entertainment industry. Behind the two of them, Shun Han-chen also glanced at the video. After seeing it with his own eyes, he also admitted that this woman's acting skills were not bad, but Ji Yuming's description was a bit too exaggerated. At most, this woman had an advantage in terms of appearance, so she was more like a man. Ji Yumeng waved her hand. Oh, I can't describe it with words. Anyway, you'll know when you act with her later. She's really nice. It feels really good to act with her. It's a pity that I don't have a scene with the lead actress today. Qi Fang mumbled. Otherwise, he would really want to experience Ji Yumeng's extravagant praise. Next, Shun Hanchen would definitely have a scene with Ning Shi. In addition, the supporting actor Ku Mingyu would also have a scene with Ning Shi. After the first scene, Ning Shi went to the makeup room to change her clothes for the next scene. She also needed to make some slight changes to her makeup. Yi Qiu, the makeup artist, had already prepared all the clothes. Seeing Ning Shi come in, she immediately put down the hanger in her hand and walked over. Have you finished shooting the first scene? So fast? Yes, it's over. We'll have to thank you for the next scene. Yes, it is. We'll have to thank you for the next scene. Ji Yi Shi's Hua the Yi, the Mo family's Yang's Hua. After the makeup, Yu, Yi, Ji Chen, Yi Qiu said, this you can do, Ji, it's Yang, Ji, Wan, Ming Shan Yi, Shi, Qiu Ji, Yang said, Yang Shi Muem Yi, Shan Yi, this GS Mo, Yi Yi, Jin Yi okay. Is the size okay? Yi Qiu waited outside the fitting room for a while, then asked. Yes. Following Ning Shi's answer, a fair and slender finger lifted the curtain, and Ning Shi, who had changed, appeared in front of Yi Qiu. Chapter 900. He was wearing a British-style three-piece suit with a dark blue tie and a retro pocket watch with a silver pouch hanging in front of his chest. As the bead curtain opened and closed, Yi Qiu felt as if she was looking at a noble young master from the last century. I'll help you tidy up. Yi Qiu was inexplicably nervous, as if she was afraid of breaking some beautiful dream. Thank you, Sister Yi. Ning Shi nodded and opened her arms slightly. She looked as if she was going to hug Yi Qiu. Yi Qiu's face heated up. She immediately reached out to Ning Shi's collar and helped her tidy up her clothes, tie, and accessories. At this time, hurried footsteps came from outside the door all the way into the room, and then suddenly stopped in front of Ning Shi. Although the tone was still very polite, there was a trace of displeasure in it. Sister Yi, let me do this kind of thing. Xiao Dao had just gone out to buy some desserts to reward the crew, but she didn't expect to see someone flirting with her boss as soon as she came back. This makeup artist had already tried to do something to Sister Shi when she was doing makeup in the morning. She couldn't stand it. I'm Ning Shi's personal makeup artist. This is my responsibility, Yi Qiu said unhurriedly. After all, he was older, so he was more imposing than Xiao Dao. The makeup artist can do the makeup, and I'll do the clothes. Of course I'm in charge of the clothes. I'm in charge of all her styles. Although you're her assistant, professional issues should be handled by professionals. But Xiao Dao obviously couldn't win against Yi Qiu. She looked at Ning Shi with tears in her eyes. Seeing that the atmosphere was about to explode, Ning Shi held Yi Qiu's shoulder and sat down. Sister Yi, you've been tired for a long time. Take a rest. Let Xiao Dao help you. If she does something wrong, please teach her. With just one sentence, both of them were appeased. Xiao Dao happily took over Yi Qiu's position. Ning Shi was still standing on her side and speaking for her. Ning Shi personally brought Yi Qiu a glass of water, and her tone was full of care and trust. Yi Qiu sat down on the chair happily. The tie is still a bit crooked. I'll fix it again. The back is wrinkled. I'll take it off and iron it. Yi Qiu was still a little excited when he recalled Ning Shi's makeup in the morning. When she first saw Ning Shi, with her professional eyes, she only felt that with Ning Shi's perfect facial features, even if she dressed up as a man, her delicate face shape could make her gender indistinguishable. But when Ning Shi walked out of the fitting room after putting on makeup and changing clothes, she was completely dumbfounded. She was clearly the one who had turned her into this. She had only gone in to change her clothes and come out. She was still the same person, but why did she give off a completely different feeling? A beautiful woman had actually turned into a living Evildor under her hand. Although she had observed Ning Shi's facial features and judged that she wouldn't look too ugly if she dressed up as a man, she had never expected that she would be so stunning. At this moment, she just stood there quietly, letting Xiao Dao bustle around her. Her entire body exuded a sense of leisure and laziness, but it was as if she had absorbed the radiance of the stars, making it impossible for others to look away. After Ning, she had completely tidied herself up. Yi Qiu hugged the glass of water, a little dazed. A minute of silence for the male lead. Chapter 901. Xiao Dao held her hands and stood a few steps away from Ning Shi, a minute of silence for all the male characters in the play. Sister Shi. Pooh. Brother Shi. Why didn't I know that you are so handsome in men's clothes until now? Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. Don't I look good in anything? Don't. Brother Shi, don't look at me like that. Xiao Dao covered her chest with her hands, as if she was about to be flirted to death. Ning Shi chuckled and looked at herself in the mirror. Then she looked at Yi Qiu behind her. Thank you, Sister Yi. The makeup is perfect. Yi Qiu met Ning Shi's eyes in the mirror, and her eyes were full of appreciation. You're welcome. It's because you have a good foundation. The contour is perfect without any flaws, and your skin is so good that I can't show it. Based on her professional experience, she could tell that Ning Shi had never had plastic surgery. It was completely natural. Besides, wasn't this person's acting too good? She was a real woman, but she didn't feel strange at all when playing a man. What was even more exaggerated was that she didn't feel that Ning Shi was acting at all. Instead, she felt that Ning Shi was like this. That wanton and romantic charm was completely emitted from within her, and it wasn't an act. Outside, Shun Hanchen had also changed his clothes. Shun Hanchen had brought his own makeup artist, whose skills weren't inferior to Yi Qiu's. After the makeup was applied, his originally blessed face became even more dazzling, as if it had been sculpted by the hands of God. There were very few people in the entertainment industry who had this kind of appearance. Ah, my God. Han Chen is so handsome in formal clothes. He's so handsome. Ji Yumeng was excited. The staff and the extras all looked at him in astonishment. Wow, he is so handsome. Is he the male lead? Yes. It is said that he is the trump card of Fengxing Media, and his appearance is as good as Jiang Mui's. No wonder director Shun likes him at first sight. In the corner, Qi Fang curled his lips. He hated men who were more handsome than him the most, even though he had a cute image. But who asked something like a face to be born with? In order to seek comfort, he silently ran to stand with Ku Mingyu, who was even more miserable than him. In any case, he was quite recognizable. Cuteness was also a characteristic, but Ku Mingyu. It wasn't that he was ugly, but he was too ordinary. He was the kind of ordinary that couldn't be found in a crowd. Although the second male lead in the drama was not outstanding, wouldn't it be too casual to find such an ordinary person to play the second male lead? However, after seeing the way Shen Mion chose Ning Shi, he didn't dare to judge Shen Mion's thoughts. Even though I'm gay, I have to admit that Shen Hanchen's face is really good. No wonder his company wants to make him the second Jiang Mui. Some people are born to do this, and it's the fate of the male lead. Qi Fang shook his head and sighed, hoping to get Ku Mingyu's approval. Ku Mingyu leaned against the pillar and glanced in Shen Hanchen's direction. His expression was indifferent, and he didn't have any special reaction. Shen Mion looked Shen Hanchen up and down with a satisfied expression, but there was a trace of imperceptible worry in her eyes. She beckoned Shen Hanchen over and told him about the scene. There are not many lines in this scene, and there is no big plot, but it is very difficult. Chapter 902. This scene is the first scene of the movie. Because of the preconceived notions, this scene can be said to be the first scene to establish the audience's influence on you. So, you must display your greatest charm and capture the audience's heart with one look. To put it bluntly, you must act cool, don't you? Shen Mion talked for a long time, but in the end, she only had one core idea: this show had to amaze the audience. Moreover, it had to be the male lead and the cross-dressing male lead. The two of them had to be evenly matched. Shun Hanchen listened to Shen Mion's nagging for a long time and responded with a few words, but he didn't think much of it. Instead of saying so much to him, he might as well talk to Ning Shi. Ning Shi should be the one he was most worried about, right? Naturally, Shun Mion noticed the young man's nonchalant expression. She looked a little helpless. She hoped that he could still be this relaxed and confident later. At this time, the assistant next to the director suddenly exclaimed, and a prop in her hand fell to the ground with a plop. The others subconsciously followed her gaze, and then saw Ningxi, who had changed her clothes and was walking towards them. The eyes of the actors who saw Ningxi for the first time almost popped out. There are so many handsome guys in this crew. Who was this? Aren't there only male and female leads in this scene? It can't be the female lead, right? Congratulations, you guessed it right. She is the heroine Ningxi. Wow. Senior looks so handsome in this. It's perfect. Ji Yuming's gaze immediately shifted to Ningxi. She kept calling Ningxi Senior, completely unlike the way she had complained to her agent half a day ago. Shun Mion looked at Ningxi's outfit and nodded in satisfaction. He had spent a lot of money on costumes and props for this movie, and it seemed that the money was well spent. Qi Fang glanced at him and mumbled softly, "It's all right, I still think Han Chen is more handsome." The moment he saw Ningxi, although Shen Hanshen's expression tensed up, he wasn't too nervous. After all, he was already mentally prepared. Ningxi's men's clothing was indeed stunning, but when she stood next to him, she would definitely not be able to steal his limelight. He was tall enough to crush her. Looking at Shen Hanshen's confident expression, Shen Mion shook her head and didn't say anything. "Since you're here, let's get ready to start." Hearing Shen Mion's words, everyone stopped talking and got into position. Action. With a pa sound, all the lights in the banquet hall were switched on. A small band was playing melodious music in the middle of the stage. Shun Hanchen was dressed in a black suit. His tall and slender figure stood at the end of the spiral staircase. On his left, Ningxi, who was dressed in white, stood quietly behind him. Under everyone's astonished gazes, the two of them walked down the stairs one after another. Shun Hanshen's clothes were black, and the style was simpler and more refined than Ningxi's. At this moment, his hair was tied behind his head, and he was tidying up his cuffs with his eyes lowered. His entire body emitted an arrogant and domineering aura, and his expression didn't change in the slightest in the face of everyone's astonished gazes. He was exactly the noble and unreachable young master Sai Xia in the script. At this moment, Shun Hanchen turned around and whispered something to Ningxi according to the script in the movie. Ningxi, who was originally following behind him and had no sense of existence because of him, glanced sideways at him after hearing the male lead's words and curled her lips into a faint smile. That smile bloomed layer by layer, turning into a carefree and unrestrained romantic charm. In an instant, all the extras gasped, and their gazes all fell on her. Even Shen Hanchen himself was stunned on the spot. Chapter 903. Everyone lost control of themselves. As expected, the scene failed miserably. When Shen Mion yelled for them to start again, everyone was still confused and didn't realize what had just happened. Especially Shen Hanchen. He was the closest to Ningxi, so he was naturally the most shocked. In all fairness, he admitted that Ningxi was good in men's clothing, but it wasn't good enough to steal his limelight. When the two of them appeared together, everyone's eyes were on him. However, at the moment when Ningxi looked at him with a faint smile, her temperament suddenly changed. She was so casual that she attracted everyone's attention. How could this be? Help! Help me! My legs seem to be a little weak. Ji Yuming reached out to Qi Fang, unable to control herself. Oh! Did you see that? Senior is so charming. In fact, Han Chen is indeed more outstanding in terms of appearance, but the moment Senior looked up and smiled, he was so fucking beautiful. No matter how handsome the others are, they're just like floating clouds. Qi Fang's face darkened. He didn't want to admit that just now, as a man, his heart raced. Looking at the staff and extras, there were also many men who were stunned by the scene just now. That kind of elegance had nothing to do with gender. Shun Mion, on the other hand, was very calm. She looked as if she had expected this. She walked to Shun Hanshen's side and continued to talk to him. She said in a joking tone, "Han Chen, work hard. Don't let a girl steal your thunder." Shun Hanchen nodded. This time, he didn't dare to let his guard down. He finally understood why Shun Mion said so much to him. Everyone, adjust yourselves. Let's do it again. Shen Mion said to the extras, you guys performed very well just now. That's it. You have to be amazed and maintain this rhythm. Just don't stare at one person. It's these two people who are stunning you. One is arrogant and domineering, and the other is carefree and uninhibited. Each has their own merits, and they're evenly matched. Although she said so much, Shen Mion knew that the key was still Shen Hanchen. He had to show that he was as good as Ningxi, so the extras would give the most appropriate response. After all, the acting skills of the extras could not be too demanding. It would be best if they could perform naturally and realistically. Actually, if this scene could be done in one go, the effect would be the best. If it was done a second time, the extras would be mentally prepared, and the effect would be reduced. What a pity. After a short break, the second shoot began. All right, everyone get ready. The next match is about to begin. Shen Mion informed all the departments. Elder Brother Shi, the director is calling. Go quickly. Come on, Brother Shi. She didn't know when the crew started calling Ning 1111 brother like Xiao Dao. Ningxi returned everyone a smile, handed the thermos cup in her hand to Xiao Dao, and returned the thermos bag to Ji Yumeng. Then, she walked toward the set. Shen Hanchen took a deep breath and steadied his mind. Just now, he was just too shocked, so he lost his composure. This time, he was prepared, so he definitely wouldn't do it again. He stared fixedly at Ningxi, who was strolling leisurely across from him, closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, his posture and bearing were even more noble and imposing. Chapter 904. The melodious music started playing again, and the guests downstairs began to laugh and chat. Shen Hanchen walked down the stairs with steady steps. His walking posture had been specially trained, and he was even more attentive at this moment. His performance was obviously better than last time. His entire demeanor was dignified, and his aura was imposing. The extras also cooperated with him and revealed expressions of amazement. After walking downstairs, Shen Hanchen took the wine glass from the waiter's hand, then turned around naturally and spoke to Ningxi, who was beside him. There were no lines in this speech. It only needed to show that the male lead was talking to the female lead. As for what exactly was said, the audience could guess for themselves. And what the audience would guess depended on the performance of the actors themselves. This time, Ningxi raised her eyebrows and looked at Shen Hanchen with a faint smile. Her lips curled up into a faint smile that absorbed all the light in the sky. In an instant, the people next to her looked dim. There would be no harm if there was no comparison. Shen Hanchen's performance just now was not bad, but with Ningxi's comparison, the domineering and handsome male lead now felt that his aura was too weak. They even felt that he was deliberately putting on an act, like a peacock spreading its tail. On the other hand, Ningxi didn't even try to attract anyone's attention, but everyone couldn't take their eyes off her. Not only that, everyone realized that there was a spark hidden in the female lead's wanton and romantic eyes. That was the unspeakable feelings she had for Sai Xia that were buried deep in her heart. This time, Ningxi's performance wasn't just simply stunning. It was more layered, and she instantly brought the audience into the scene. The two of them were like clouds and mud. There was no doubt that this time, it was still RNG. Even Shen Mion was a little surprised. Her eyes were filled with the expression of someone who had picked up a treasure. She thought that Ningxi's performance just now was already stunning, but she didn't expect that she wasn't serious at all. Shen Hanchen felt a strong sense of palpitation, as if he was facing an insurmountable mountain. From the moment he chose this industry, everyone told him that with his talent, he was simply born for the entertainment industry and that he would definitely become famous. But at this moment, he finally understood what it meant to truly live for the entertainment industry. Seeing Shen Hanchen's expression, Shen Mion was afraid that he would lose his composure. She walked over with the script and explained the scene to him again. Hanchen, your performance just now has improved a lot. Try harder and maintain this rhythm. You have to know that Sai Xia is favored by the heavens. Not only does he have to be dazzling, but more importantly, he has to have that kind of arrogance that comes from being at the top of the rich and powerful for a long time. If he was just handsome, he would at most be a big star. Temperament and the look in his eyes are very important, you know? You can pay attention to Ningxi's performance. Because the female lead has experienced life and death, her gestures and even her eyes have a trace of detachment. The grief of the death of her loved ones, the unspeakable love for the people around her, and the carelessness of playing games are all expressed in her eyes. I got it. Thank you, director. Shun Hanchen looked at the video in the camera and saw that he looked like a lousy clown. He simply wanted to destroy the video. Shun Mion patted him on the shoulder. I'll give you 10 minutes to adjust your condition. After saying that, Shun Mion walked toward Ningxi, who was surrounded by a group of girls. Chapter 905. Ningxi stood up immediately. Director Shun, are you going to tell me the script? Tell me, my ass. Shun Mion grumbled. You brat, so you were hiding your true strength in front of me last time? Shun Mion realized that she had unknowingly called him brat. Ningxi said innocently, no, I was just acting normally last time. You didn't ask me to audition. This time, she had only used her acting skills. Shun Mion was speechless. 10 minutes later, the filming resumed. After that, there were a few ings, all because Shun Hanchen couldn't keep up with Ningxi's pace. They weren't on the same level at all. Shun Mion had high expectations for this scene, so she couldn't tolerate the slightest flaw. However, if they continued to film at this pace, they would have to film until the end of time. Moreover, Shun Hanchen was about to break down. This couldn't go on, thus, Shun Mion decisively called for a stop. Cut. As soon as he finished speaking, Shun Hanchen finally couldn't bear it any longer. With a dark expression, he took off his coat and fiercely threw it on the ground. Then, he strode forward with large strides. At this moment, his handsome face was densely covered with dark clouds and was almost sinister. The atmosphere was tense. Ji Yumeng, Qi Fang, Ku Mingyu, all the staff members didn't dare to make a sound. The assistant saw that Shun Hanchen had lost control and quickly ran over to comfort him. Hanchen, where are you going? It's only the first day. Don't mess around. Bear with it. The director said that you're getting better every time. In contrast to Shun Hanchen's rage, Ningxi was wearing a white retro British suit. She loosened her collar and put her hands in her pockets as she strolled over leisurely. Shun Mion pinched her brows and walked over. She pulled Ningxi to a corner and said in a low voice, you saw it too. Hanchen's performance is actually very good, but he's a newcomer after all. You should hold back a little. The only way now was for Ningxi to hold back. Ningxi glanced at Shun Hanchen casually and said faintly, so what if he's a newcomer? He's a man who can't even act cool. It's better for him to leave this industry as soon as possible. Shun Mion was speechless. All the men present were speechless. That was fucking infuriating. Everyone subconsciously turned their heads to look at Shun Hanchen in unison. Sure enough, his face was almost green from anger. After all, he was still young and full of vigor. Shun Hanchen, who was about to impulsively leave, stopped in his tracks because of this sentence. He clenched his fists tightly by his sides and said, Director Shun, do it again. Well. Shun Mion hesitated for the first time. Given Shun Hanchen's current state, it would be very dangerous for Ningxi to continue without withdrawing her aura. If he continued to NG this time, it would create an irreparable trauma in Shun Hanchen's heart. This kind of trauma was almost fatal to an actor. After all, Shun Mion valued talent and didn't want to take the risk. Unfortunately, both of them were very persistent. They had already walked to their respective positions and were ready to start. Shun Mion and Ningxi looked at each other. Seeing the calm expression on each other's faces, they somehow felt more at ease. With Ningxi's acting skills, she should be able to control herself and stop when she realized something wasn't right. After all, there was no grudge between them. There was no need for her to ruin a newcomer. Furthermore, from his observation, Shun Hanchen's performance was getting better and better. Perhaps. Chapter 906. Thinking of this, Shun Mion gritted her teeth and finally shouted, Begin. Everyone held their breath and stared. The small band in the center played leisurely, the huge crystal chandelier above their heads looked dreamy, and dresses fluttered on the dance floor. At the end of the spiral staircase, two men, one in black and the other in white, walked down slowly, one dignified and the other leisurely. This time, from Shun Hanshen's demeanor to his steps, from his temperament to his eyes, and even when Ningxi looked up and smiled, the corners of her mouth were slightly raised. They were all perfect and flawless. The two of them were like two equally bright stars, shining on each other. Cut. Not bad. Very good. Following Shun Mion's excited cut, almost everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Shun Mion's heart, which had been in her throat, finally relaxed. Thank goodness. Shun Hanchen made it through. If he couldn't, it would be a huge trauma to him, but once he made it through, his acting skills would definitely improve tremendously. Wow, that's great. Ji Yumeng's heart was beating fast. When they looked at each other just now, my Fujoshi soul almost rose up. Madam is so handsome. Sai Xia didn't know anything about Ji Feishua's feelings for him and only treated him as a capable subordinate and brother. However, the intimacy and tacit understanding between the two was enough to move and influence everyone, making the audience even more worried about the female lead's relationship. Qifang was also jealous, feeling like he had been hurt twice because of the two of them. Okay, he's really handsome. Just when everyone couldn't help but applaud and praise, Shun Hanchen, as the person in question, didn't relax at all. He staggered down, grabbed the water from his assistant's hand, and drank half the bottle in one go, his chest violently heaving up and down. It was just a show of acting tough, but it felt like he was on a battlefield, and the spectators were still in shock from watching it. Qifang's face was full of panic as he secretly glanced at Ningxi, who was still acting as if nothing had happened. He then moved closer to Ji Yumeng and said, "Yumeng, are you sure the person you just described is the same person we're seeing now? This is too scary. How is she gentle? How is she considerate?" He even said that she was a good person, that she could lead newcomers into the role, and that it was easy to act with her. Are you fucking kidding me? This was only the first scene, and Shun Hanchen was almost killed by her. He was glad that he didn't have many scenes with Ningxi. Ji Yumeng bit her lip. But she was so considerate and relaxed when she was acting with me. I don't think it's Senior's fault. Is it her fault for acting so well? It should be because of the plot. The two of them need to act. It's inevitable. Qifang, hey, why did he feel that it was because of the gender difference? To girls, he was as warm as the spring breeze, but to men, he was as cold as the autumn wind. Something seemed amiss. Shun Mion glanced at the time. It's too late now, so we don't have enough time. Let's postpone the rest of the scenes until tomorrow. Everyone has worked hard. Let's call it a day. Although they didn't finish today's schedule, it was still worth it to be able to perform such an important scene so perfectly. When Ningxi and Shun Mion were alone, Shun Mion couldn't help but ask, if Shun Hanchen still can't keep up with you this time, will you stop acting? Chapter 907. Ningxi smiled, and the corners of her eyes turned up like a blooming crabapple. How could that be? I believe in Director Shun's judgment of people. If he can't even handle this, it will ruin your reputation, Director Shun. She was acting normally this time. She didn't even suppress the scene. She was already being merciful. When she suppressed Jiang Mui, she was merciless. Shun Mion was almost dazzled by her smile. She was speechless. That's enough. You won't even let me off the hook. Sorry, I didn't have time to switch. Shun Mion was speechless. While they were talking, Shun Mion saw Ku Mingyu standing on the side, as if waiting for them to finish talking. Mingyu, what's up? I'm looking for Senior Ningxi. Ku Mingyu's usually expressionless face looked a little tense. Ningxi looked at him curiously, not knowing why he was looking for her. Among the newcomers, Ku Mingyu was the one she couldn't see through the most. However, she sensed a familiar aura from him, one that was similar to hers. Unfortunately, she didn't have time to shoot the scene with him today. She would have to wait until tomorrow. Can I have your autograph? I'm your fan, Ku Mingyu said expressionlessly. My fan? Ningxi raised her eyebrows. She was surprised. Of course. Then, Ningxi picked up the notebook and pen in his hand. She signed her name and wrote a few words of encouragement. Thank you, Senior. Ku Mingyu pursed his lips, bowed, and left without saying anything else. Shun Mion glanced at Ningxi and suddenly asked meaningfully, "Do you know how I found this person?" "How?" Ningxi asked. "He wasn't a professional and came to me on his own. I looked for a long time but couldn't find a suitable second male lead, so I asked him to try, but he refused." "Huh? Didn't he come to me on his own? Why did he refuse?" Ningxi was puzzled. "He wanted to be the male lead." To be fair, his image wasn't suitable for the male lead. "Did you convince him?" Chen Mion nodded. "I asked him to audition for the male lead's role first. His acting skills were up to standard, but his image wasn't up to par. So, I persuaded him to audition for the second male lead, but he didn't agree at the time. Later, I personally went to his house to invite him." Ningxi was a little surprised. "Tut, Director Shen, you personally went to invite him. It's definitely not as simple as his acting skills, right?" Shen Mion smiled mysteriously. "You'll know when the time comes." Since Shen Mion said so, Ningxi didn't probe further. However, she suddenly remembered something. "Oh yeah, Director Shen, can we visit the set? I have a friend who wants to come and see me. I'm sure it won't affect the filming." "Sure, it's no problem for your friend." Shen Mion agreed without hesitation. As the two of them were talking, Shen Mion saw a figure poking his head out not far away. It turned out that there was more than one person who hadn't left. Shen Mion glanced at Ji Yumeng helplessly. "Is she looking for Ningxi again?" Ji Yumeng nodded repeatedly. "Hey, let's chat. I won't bother you guys anymore." Other actors would talk to the director after work, but he was always looking for the female lead. "Yumeng, it's time to call it a day. Why aren't you leaving?" When talking to Ji Yumeng, Ningxi's tone was obviously lower. That lowered tone, Ji Yumeng subconsciously pinched her ears. "Senior, can you give me your phone number?" Chapter 908. Sure. Ningxi reached out her hand. Ji Yumeng immediately gave her phone to her. Ningxi used her cell phone to press her own number and returned it to her after the call was connected. Ji Yumeng plucked up her courage and asked, "Can we add each other's WeChat ID? My WeChat ID is my phone number. Just add me." "Oh, okay. Thank you, Senior." "Senior, don't you need to remove your makeup?" Ji Yumeng swallowed and looked at Ningxi in men's clothes. At this moment, Ningxi was wearing her own clothes, but it was still men's clothing. She was wearing casual clothes, jeans, and a hoodie jacket. She looked energetic and relaxed. It was just a casual outfit, but when she wore it, she attracted the attention of bees and butterflies. "There's a traffic jam on the way back. I'm going to take the subway. It's more convenient," Ningxi answered. "Oh, I see. Ji Yumeng was about to say that she was going to take the subway too when her phone rang. Her agent had called to pick her up. So she had to say goodbye to Ningxi. "Yumeng, over here. Brother Feng, why are you here?" Ji Yumeng looked at the middle-aged agent, who was parked on the side of the road. Qian Zhaofeng didn't know why she was throwing a tantrum. "To pick you up, of course. How did it go today? Did you get into trouble? I'm telling you, don't think about the lead role. No matter how unhappy you are with Ningxi, you have to bear with it. If you really don't want to act, I'll help you." He would rather not act in this movie than let her screw it up. Ji Yumeng stomped her foot. "Who's unhappy with Ningxi? Don't talk nonsense. Didn't you say in the morning? Morning is morning. Anyway, I'm not unhappy with Ningxi. I want to be the third female lead. I'll fight anyone who tries to steal it from me." Qian Zhaofeng was dumbfounded. A woman's heart was truly unfathomable. Ningxi had told Lu Tingxiao that she would go to his place for dinner, so she went straight to his place after work. At the entrance of the palace, Mo Lingtian, who had been sent out by Lu Tingxiao, looked aggrieved. "Hey, it's almost dinner time. Aren't you going to ask me to stay for dinner?" "Ningxi will come over tonight," Lu Tingxiao said. "Signify that he will not be disturbed." Mo Lingtian snorted, "I've seen through you long ago. Sure enough, you're a man without guts for the opposite sex." To think that he had purposely paid a visit to him and told him so much. Speaking of which, why didn't you ask that Tang Lang? He has been by that person's side for so long. Could it be that he really doesn't know anything about him? He's not my man. He was surprised. Even if Tang Lang told him, he wouldn't believe him. Not to mention, given the shrewdness of that person, even if it was Tang Lang, he wouldn't reveal his background to him. He's already a security guard in your company, but he's still not your man. Mo Lingtian was speechless. As the two of them were talking, a figure walked over from afar. The man wasn't very old, and he was dressed casually and fashionably. His face was extremely handsome, and it was hard to tell if he was a man or a boy. He had a wanton and arrogant aura around him. One look and you could tell that he was someone who attracted bees and butterflies. Due to the contrast between the two men, Mo Lingtian subconsciously took a few more glances and asked Lu Tingxiao, "Who is that?" "Your brother's friend." There were only Lu Jingli's and Lu Tingxiao's villas in this direction, so he was either looking for Lu Tingxiao or Lu Jingli. Mo Lingtian didn't wait for Lu Tingxiao's answer, but saw that the young man walked straight towards them until he stopped in front of them. Strictly speaking, he stopped in front of Lu Tingxiao. The young man didn't drive. He probably trotted over. He was slightly out of breath and his fair and beautiful neck was slightly wet with sweat. After coming over, he pulled down Lu Tingxiao's neck without saying a word and then kissed him. His eyes were sparkling and his voice was hoarse and low. "Did you miss me?" Mo Lingtian looked as if he had been struck by lightning. His whole body turned into a statue. Chapter 909. Did you miss me? Yeah. He. What did he see? Even when he saw Lu Tingxiao with that little white rabbit, it wasn't as shocking as this scene at the moment. However, after the shock, he was even more amazed. Dusk fell, and the sky was shimmering with the red glow of the sunset. When the young man stared at Lu Tingxiao, the wild and unruly aura on his body turned into an affectionate one. Under the sunset glow, that pair of shimmering eyes became soul-stirringly beautiful for a moment. Lu Tingxiao looked down at the young man. His eyes, which were covered with snow, turned into the patter of spring water. His gaze was gentle and cherished as if he was looking at the whole world. Mo Lingtian inexplicably felt that this scene was extremely touching. Fuck. He was crazy. He actually felt that. Lu Tingxiao being lovey-dovey with a man was very touching. After getting the devil's affirmation, Ningxi was instantly satisfied. Sure enough, the healing power of beauty was invincible. Even the tiredness of a day's filming was swept away. She felt that the devil's tendency to get jealous was too groundless. With such beauty in front of her, it would be good if she was not smitten to death. How could she look at someone else? Seeing that the two of them had completely forgotten about his existence, Mo Lingtian could not help but raise his hand weakly. Both of you. There's still one more person here. He felt as if he had bumped into something extraordinary. Would he be silenced? No, it was not him who bumped into it. He was just standing there. He was also a victim. Hey, young Master Mo, you're here too. She looked at Mo Lingtian. Mo Lingtian was about to cry. Brother, I've always been here, okay? Why are you looking at me like that? She put her arm on Lu Tingxiao's shoulder and said apologetically, I'm really sorry. Usually, when I'm here, it's very difficult for me to notice others. Mo Lingtian was speechless. Lu Tingxiao was actually called darling by a man, and he looked like he was in a good mood. Mo Lingtian was about to break down. Lu Tingxiao, what the hell are you doing? When I asked you, didn't you say you didn't like this? What kind of situation was this? Don't tell me that the little white rabbit from before was just a smokescreen. What you really like is actually a man. Fuck, then wouldn't I be in danger? And, what about Xiao, and An? Lu Tingxiao said, she is Ningxi. Mo Lingtian was dumbfounded when he heard Lu Tingxiao's words. What did you say? At this time, behind the three of them, a soft and adorable little bun ran over like a whirlwind. It did not run toward Lu Tingxiao, but hugged the young man's calf. Its big eyes were filled with surprise and dependence. The look in little Bun's eyes gave him a sense of déjà vu. After all, this little fellow was the same as Lu Tingxiao. He had never been so warm and intimate with anyone, except for Little White Rabbit. Last time at Lu Chongshan's birthday banquet, he saw with his own eyes how obedient and cute little Baozi was in front of that little rabbit. When Ningxi saw little Baozi, let alone Mo Lingtian, she even forgot about the great demon king's beauty. She immediately hugged the little fellow. Chapter 9-10. Seeing Xiaobao wearing fluffy cartoon cashmere pajamas, bare ears on the back of the hat, and a round little tail on the butt, Ningxi was so adorable. "Oh, my baby is so cute today. Your father finally has an appreciation for beauty." At this moment, the disguise and shell of the young man holding Xiaobao seemed to have been removed in an instant, leaving only his true self. Mo Lingtian finally believed it. She really looks like a little white rabbit. After Ningxi entered the room with Xiaobao in her arms, Mo Lingtian was still in shock. "Damn, it's amazing. Lu Tingxiao, does this girl know how to change into a man? From a little fox to a little white rabbit to a shooting master to a little maid, she could even dress up as a man. A woman who could win Lu Tingxiao's heart shouldn't be judged by ordinary people's standards." He finally knew where the rumor that Lu Tingxiao liked men and kissed a man in public at a party came from. He was so playful. In the living room. "Miss Xiaoxi, dinner will be ready in a while. Have some juice. Miss Xiaoxi, have some fruit. Miss Xiaoxi, do you want dessert?" After the little maid came back and forth several times, Lu Tingxiao finally pinched between his eyebrows and said to Ningxi, "Go upstairs and change clothes." "Why? It's so troublesome to change clothes." Ningxi muttered in confusion. Lu Tingxiao didn't answer, but suddenly looked in a certain direction. At the door of the kitchen and in the small garden outside the French windows, the little maids at home had peeped into the kitchen many times. WN had come to deliver gifts several times. When Ningxi was dressed in women's clothes, she had already coaxed these little maids to favor her one by one, not to mention men's clothes. "Is the handsome guy inside really Miss Xiaoxi? How could it be? You must be kidding. WAN said so. Otherwise, except for Miss Xiaoxi, have you ever seen young master so close to anyone else? I bought the same series for you and Xiaobao." Lu Tingxiao answered. "Ah, really? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Go get changed now." Hearing this, Ningxi immediately rushed upstairs. A moment later, Ningxi changed her clothes and walked down. Xiaobao's pajamas were in the shape of a bear, and Ningxi's were in the shape of a rabbit. The two long ears behind the hat were so cute. Ningxi skipped downstairs and turned around in front of Lu Tingxiao. "Isn't it cute?" "Phut, Lu Tingxiao, I didn't expect you to buy this kind of clothes." "Lu Tingxiao, I think you'll like it." Ningxi raised her eyebrows. "Do you like it?" "Lu Tingxiao, you like everything." Ningxi. Compared to her flirting skills, she felt that the great demon king's serious flirting skills were more heaven-defying. After dinner, he returned to his apartment. Ningxi called Zhuang Ku. "Hello, Ku, Xiaoxi, it's you. What's the matter?" Zhuang Ku's surprised voice came from the other end of the phone. "You said you wanted to come to the set last time. I asked the director, and he said it was okay. You can come here at any time." Ningxi always kept her promise to the girl firmly in mind. Hearing that, Zhuang Ku was immediately overjoyed. "Really? That's great." Ningxi was about to speak, but found that Zhuang Ku's voice was very noisy. "Ku, aren't you at home?" Chapter 9-11. Zhuang Ku sighed and said hesitantly, "I'm in an internet cafe downtown." "Internet cafe?" Ningxi was a little surprised. How could Zhuang Ku go to an internet cafe? "I'm going to find my brother." Zhuang Ku paused and then explained, "After what happened last time, father set a curfew for him and forbade him to go out after 9 o'clock in the evening. However, he ran out again when I was not paying attention. If I don't take him back quickly, father will be furious when he finds out when he comes back tonight. Sister, you're so noisy. Can you stay away from me?" Zhuang Rongguang's impatient complaint came from the other end of the phone. "Rongguang, father is likely to come back tonight. Father, can you stop using dad to threaten me? I'm just playing a game, not committing murder or arson. Can't I have a little freedom?" The problem is, it's almost the final exam, and you're still playing. Also, how much money have you spent on this game, and you're still dating someone online? Go away. You're so annoying. It's not over yet. Zhuang Rongguang's tone was extremely nasty. He seemed to have forgotten who had been protecting him when he was almost shot by his father. Hearing Zhuang Rongguang's nasty tone, Ningxi frowned and her face suddenly darkened. However, when talking to Zhuang Ku'er, her tone was still very gentle. Ku'er, can you help me see what game your brother is playing and what his game ID is, and then tell me secretly? Zhuang Ku'er subconsciously took a look at what Ningxi said, and then walked away and told Ningxi, the game is called Holy Realm, and his ID is Glory of Light. He seems to be getting married in the game tonight, and he won't go home no matter how I persuade him. Okay, I got it. Ku'er, find a place to sit for a while, and I'll find a way to make him go home with you. Zhuang Ku'er didn't ask what Ningxi was going to do, but subconsciously trusted her. After hanging up the phone, Ningxi turned on her laptop and clicked on the icon of a game called Holy Realm on the desktop. This was the game that Ningxi and Jiang Mui endorsed, and it was also the game that Ningxi had played for the longest time. Ah, young man, there was a path to heaven, but you didn't take it. Instead, you barged into the doorless hell. He was already an adult, yet he actually let a girl run out to look for him in the middle of the night, and even spoke rudely. If I don't kill you until you delete the game tonight, I'm not Fengling. With an expression as if his woman was being bullied, Ningxi eagerly logged into the game account. As soon as Ningxi logged in, a system notification popped up in the game. The number 1 player on the PK leaderboard, Lord Fengling, has arrived. Ningxi and Jiang Mui used other accounts to promote the game and broadcast the game. This was Ningxi's real account. As soon as the bright red system notification popped up, the world immediately went into an uproar. World Happy Smiley, wow wow wow, it's so lively tonight. More than half of the gurus on the ranking boards are here. Even Lord Fengling, who hasn't been online for a long time, has appeared. World Happy Smiley, after all, this is a marriage between the leader of the number 1 sect, Glory of Light, and the leader of the number 2 sect, From Water. It's not surprising that Lord Fengling would be invited. World Happy Smiley, but it's strange to accept the invitation. Lord Fengling has always been a loner. He doesn't join any sect, and he doesn't make friends with any sect. World Happy Smiley, oh. I saw Lord Fengling. He's on his way to the Moon Temple. It seems like he's really going to attend the wedding. Chapter 9:12. World Happy Smiley, Soaring Wind, seeking the coordinates of the Glory of Light. Ningxi typed on the keyboard and sent a message in the world channel. As soon as this message came out, all the chat boxes in the world were spammed. World Happy Smiley, oh, His Excellency had actually appeared in this world. A group photo of the powerhouses in the front row. Your Excellency, I want to bear your children. World Happy Smiley, upstairs, do you want to die? Fengling has a wife. World Happy Smiley, so what? Can't I be your concubine? World Happy Smiley, haha, don't you know what kind of person Fengling's wife is? She even dares to touch Luo Hua's husband. World Happy Smiley, what wife? It's not like Sir married her. Yes, Ningxi's game account was a male account. Because his combat power ranked first in the entire server and he dominated the PK list for many years, he was recognized as the most desirable man among all female players. The wife they were talking about was Jiang Mui. Jiang Mui had been tricked by Ningxi into playing a female character, and his ID was Luo Hua. Because the two of them often appeared together, and Jiang Mui was Ningxi's only friend in the game, the outside world had always regarded them as a couple. After someone sent Zhuang Rongguang's coordinates to Ningxi, Ningxi immediately rushed to the destination. At that moment, a friend in the game sent a voice invitation. Ningxi glanced at the pop-up box and casually pressed the answer button. Then, Jiang Mui's voice came from the computer immediately. Holy shit! You're finally online. Why did you go to the Moon Elder Temple for no reason? Hurry up and PK. Shut up. I have business to attend to. What business can you have at the Moon Elder Temple? Ha! On the other end of the earpiece, Ningxi chuckled darkly and then replied faintly, I'm going to kidnap the bride. What? Jiang Mui almost choked on his own saliva. What did you just say? He hadn't been online for 800 years, and the moment he came online, he actually wanted to snatch a woman? What the fuck? Wasn't he being cuckolded? After all, everyone in the game thought he and Ningxi were a couple. Thinking that Zhuangku was still waiting in the internet cafe at night, Ningxi didn't have time to talk to Jiang Mui. She summoned her flying mount and flew to the Moon Temple, catching up with Zhuang Rongguang's escort team. The game was quite realistic. The wedding scene was filled with a sea of flowers. It was very beautiful. A male player with the ID Glory of Light rode a tall horse at the front of the long procession. Behind him was the bride in a large palanquin. The people on both sides of the procession were all top players in the game. They were either sect masters or famous players on the rankings. Halfway through the journey, a loud dragon roar came from the sky. It was the only dragon-type flying mount in the server, Yazi. Hearing the dragon's roar, all the players knew that it was the number one player in the server, Fengling. At this moment, Zhuang Rongguang, who was sitting in front of the computer in the internet cafe, stared at the man descending from the sky with glowing eyes, his face full of pride. Damn it, I'm awesome. Even Fengling came to support their marriage. Zhuang Rongguang's two friends also exclaimed, fuck. This was Yazi. This is the first time I've seen it with my own eyes. It's so cool. I heard that you have to win 100 matches in a row to exchange for it. Fengling is the only one in the entire server who has achieved this. But why did he suddenly come here today? What's so strange about it? I'm now the sect master of the number one sect in the entire server. Just as Zhuang Rongguang finished speaking, his friend on the computer next to him suddenly stared at the screen and exclaimed in shock, fuck. Glory. Run. What's the matter? Why are you shouting? Zhuang Rongguang looked at the screen in dissatisfaction. Then, he was completely dumbfounded. The entire screen was blood red. Fengling had actually activated massacre mode on him. Chapter 9:13. The so-called slaughter mode was different from PK, which required the other party's acceptance and consent. After activating slaughter mode, even if the other party didn't want to fight you, you could directly kill them. Of course, there was a punishment for killing someone. After activating slaughter mode, the player's name would become red, just like a monster, and anyone could kill them. The players were shocked that Fengling would attend Glory of Light's wedding banquet. Some even guessed that Fengling was going to join a gang. In the next second, everyone saw him get off his mount and activate slaughter mode without warning. In the next moment, the man in PK godly equipment was completely covered in blood. The massive scythe in his hand slashed through the air, and a crescent-shaped beam of red light landed on Glory of Light's body. Immediately, half of Glory of Light's HP disappeared. Before anyone could react, Fengling unleashed a few big moves in succession. After a few moves, Glory of Light fell to the ground, dead. The World Channel, which had been spamming rapidly just now, was now as quiet as a chicken. In the internet cafe, Zhuang Rongguang slammed his fist on the table furiously. Fuck. This bastard actually dared to kill me. The red-haired man next to him was dumbfounded. What just happened? Why are you in a daze? Revive me. Zhuang Rongguang said angrily. Oh, in the game, the doctor player used revive, and Zhuang Rongguang immediately revived. However, in the next second, another red light flashed, and Zhuang Rongguang died again, because he didn't revive with full HP. This time, he was killed in one move. Zhuang Rongguang, the two brothers next to him, the people in the game world and the guests attending the wedding banquet, everyone was dumbfounded again. The first time could be considered a misunderstanding, but he wouldn't make the same mistake again. Fengling was obviously going to kill Glory of Light. On the other side of the computer, Jiang Mui, who was still connected to the voice chat, was having a headache. Fuck. Brother, what are you trying to do? How did this guy offend you? Ningxi, he bullied my guy. Jiang Mui, logically speaking, Ningxi didn't have any friends in the game. Who did Glory of Light bully? As soon as he finished speaking, Ningxi killed Glory of Light for the third time. At this moment, someone finally spoke in the channel. World Happy Smiley, Glory of Light, Feng Ling. What do you mean? Ningxi's response was to stab the sword into the ground and sit down cross-legged, blocking the way of the wedding banquet. She didn't say a word, but her meaning was clear. They were trying to stir up trouble. World Happy Smiley, fuck. World Happy Smiley, world, realm, glory of light, glory of glory of glory, World Happy Smiley, is God. Is Feng, God. Damn. God. Feng, God, God. I didn't expect to see so much gossip at a wedding. King, World Happy Smiley, glory of light, Feng Ling, I have no enmity with you. Since you came looking for trouble, don't blame me for not showing mercy. Now that Feng Ling had activated massacre mode, everyone could go up and kill him. No matter how good he was at fighting, he couldn't compete with Glory of Light's #1 guild. At this moment, everyone's screen suddenly turned golden. A bird's cry came from the computer system, and a huge shadow covered the sky. A golden phoenix descended from the sky, and a pharaoh-like woman walked down from the phoenix. The ID above the woman's head was Luo Hua. Chapter 9:14. World Happy Smiley, Arth. Luo Hua, my Luo Hua goddess is here. Goddess, please take a picture with me. World Happy Smiley, ha 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 ha, Feng Ling's wife is here. There's going to be a good show. World Happy Smiley, Glory of Light doesn't even need to do anything. Luo Hua will probably kill that scumbag herself. Luo Hua was ranked second on the PK leaderboard and the only female player in the top 10. She had won 88 matches in a row and her mount was a golden phoenix. She was known as the PK Crazy Demon. Although her PK score wasn't as high as Feng Ling's, she had won the most matches in the whole server. At the same time, Luo Hua was also the #1 PK player in the whole server. Although her gang wasn't ranked high, everyone in her gang was rich. Even the #1 gang didn't dare to offend her. Otherwise, she could use money to poach all the people in her gang. That was how capricious she was. Zhuang Rongguang's pocket money was limited and had been restricted recently. Naturally, he couldn't compete with these rich players. World Happy Smiley, Glory of Light, Leader Luo, your man is so fickle that he came to steal my woman. Are you going to do something about this? Zhuang Rongguang was worried that Luo Hua would protect Feng Ling and decisively tried to sow discord. World Happy Smiley, Luo Hua, does my man need to steal your woman? One sentence and it was an instant kill. World Happy Smiley, from water, Luo Hua, don't go too far. Your man, brother Feng Ling, has never admitted his relationship with you. Don't flatter yourself. Fuck. Jiang Mui cursed in his earpiece. The next second, a line of words popped up on the screen. System Happy Smiley player Luo Hua has started killing from water. The whole world was dumbfounded again. What a godlike development. It was too melodramatic. Two men fighting for a woman became two women fighting for a man. It had nothing to do with Glory of Light anymore. His new wife was fighting for a man with another woman. As a leader, he was really cheated on. Goddess from Water actually liked Feng Ling too? The players weren't surprised. In the game, the strong ruled. Which female player didn't like Feng Ling? Moreover, it was a man like this who came to steal their woman. Their hearts were racing. While the game was in an uproar, Ningxi and Jiang Mui were quarreling outside. Fuck, Jiang Mui, what are you doing? You're going to fucking make me a cuckold, and you're not allowing me to defend myself. Wear my ass, can't you tell them you're a man? This way, all the misunderstandings will be resolved. How am I supposed to survive in the game if people know that I'm a ladyboy? You're a man, but you can't kill a woman. I'm a woman now too. If you cause any more trouble for me, don't count on me to accompany you next time. After finally persuading Jiang Mui, Ningxi immediately sent a message in the World Channel. World Happy Smiley, Feng Ling, personal grudges. Please do not interfere. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences. Then, Feng Ling actually issued a challenge. World Happy Smiley, Feng Ling, Glory of Light, let's fight. I'll take off my godly equipment and give you 3 moves. The loser will delete his account. Instantly, the world boiled over again. Should I delete my account? Playing so big. While everyone was spamming the World channel, they were also excitedly waiting for Glory of Light's response. If Glory of Light still refused to accept the challenge, it would be too shameful. He was simply not a man. Glory, what should we do? Should we fight? That guy even took off his godly equipment. He's too arrogant. Of course. Glory, go. What are you waiting for? Chapter 9:15. Zhuang Rongguang's face darkened as he gritted his teeth. His combat strength was actually not low. Just now, he was killed by Feng Ling because he was caught off guard and did not activate his skills. Now, not only did Feng Ling give him 3 moves, he even took off his godly equipment. Hence, Zhuang Rongguang raised his sword and slashed. As expected, Feng Ling did not retaliate. After 3 slashes, Feng Ling was left with 10% of his health. Brat, how dare you be so arrogant? Delete the game. Zhuang Rongguang continued slashing. However, in the next second, Feng Ling suddenly disappeared. At the same time, Zhuang Rongguang lost a quarter of his health. Fuck. Shifting shadows. It's fine, Glory, continue. His skill is on cooldown. This move can only be used once, and without his godly equipment, the damage is half. Kill him quickly. 1 slash is enough. However, Feng Ling continued to kite with a sliver of health left. His cool maneuvers were dazzling. In the end, he easily killed Glory of Light, who had a full level of godly equipment and an orange weapon. The World channel was flooded with messages: Sad Smiley, World Happy Smiley, worship the great god. World Happy Smiley, worship the great god. World Happy Smiley, worship the great god. World Happy Smiley. Feng Ling, delete the game. Otherwise, I'll kill you every time I see you. World Happy Smiley, great god, what's the grudge between you two? World Happy Smiley, that's right. How did sect leader Guang offend you? Not only did he steal the bride, he even killed him to the point of deleting his account. World Happy Smiley. Feng Ling, I don't like him. World Happy Smiley, in the internet cafe. Zhuang Rongguang looked at the 4 words sent by Feng Ling and kicked over the chair behind him. Hey, Glory, where are you going? Not playing anymore? You spent so much money on this account. Don't tell me you really don't want it anymore. Get lost. Don't bother me. Don't look for me to play games anymore. He was tortured to death in front of the entire server for a woman, and he lost in PK. How could he have the face to play? At the same time, Ningxi's cell phone rang. It was Zhuang Ku. Ningxi interrupted Jiang Mui, who was complaining to him in the headset about how From Water was provoking him in a private chat, and answered the phone. Hello, Ku. Hearing Ningxi's sudden and gentle voice, Jiang Mui, who was on the other side of the computer, immediately fell silent and pricked up his ears. Hey, Xiaoxi, Rongguang has gone home. That's good. You should also hurry back. Next time, don't come out alone so late. It's not safe. Yes, I know. But, what did you do? I think I heard Rongguang say that he won't play games anymore. I didn't expect him to say that he won't play anymore. Oh, it's nothing. I also have an account in this game, and it just so happens that I know your brother. I just used my account to talk to him privately. As a friend, I told him to study hard and stop wasting his studies playing games. If I talk to him as a player and a friend, he might be more willing to listen. I see. Xiaoxi, thank you so much. Ningxi's headset was still on. On the other side, Jiang Mui was completely speechless as he listened to Ningxi's blatant lies. After Ningxi hung up the phone, Jiang Mui immediately snorted. Which girl did you hook up with this time? What do you mean hook up with? It's my new best friend. Her brother plays games all day and doesn't go home. I just helped him a little. He'd made such a big fuss. He'd kidnapped the bride and forced her to delete her account, all for the sake of coaxing a girl. He'd even fought with that brainless woman called From Water in the game because of jealousy, but in the end, he was busy with another woman. Jiang Mui felt like he had suffered a critical hit. Chapter 9:16. By the way, how did you feel when you started filming today? Jiang Mui asked casually. Ning, she curled her lips. It went well. There was a troublemaker, but he's been taken care of. Thorn. Don't tell me it's Shen Han Chen? Jiang Mui muttered. You know him too. Ning, she was a little surprised. Wind Media is always saying that they want to train the next Jiang Mui. How can I not know? Jiang Mui snorted and then asked, Did you practice with him today? Oh. How was it? He inged more than a dozen times. So soft-hearted. Jiang Mui was immediately unhappy. Why was she so cruel when she tortured him? It's because he's too weak. It's boring to torture him. He's far worse than you. Ning, she replied. Jiang Mui was speechless. What she said, should he thank her for her compliment? But he does have great potential. If you don't work harder, the new generation will surpass the old one. Ning, she said quietly. Humph. You're worrying too much. He wants to push me. Let him try. Jiang Mui said in a tone as if he didn't take her seriously at all. Ning, she shook her head with a smile. However, although Jiang Mui was arrogant, he did have the capital to be arrogant. His innate arrogance couldn't be learned by ordinary people. If Shen Han Chen blindly followed Jiang Mui's path and didn't dig out his own characteristics, he would always be Jiang Mui's shadow even if he became famous. By the way, when will your scene be tomorrow? Jiang Mui asked. I don't have any scenes in the morning. It'll be in the afternoon. What do you want to do? As a senior in the same company as you, of course I'll visit you on set and support you. Visit my ass. It's obvious that he's up to no good. The next morning. Ning Xi's scene was in the afternoon, so she went to the studio in the morning. If she could make it in time, she had to find a way to meet the person in charge of SF. Previously, he had tried contacting her several times, but to no avail. After arranging an appointment, he went on a business trip. Now that he was back on a business trip, he was busy with all sorts of things and had no time. Ning Xi planned to find a way to find out about the other party's schedule and then directly go to find him. After preparing for so long, she had to let the other party see whether it was dead or alive. After rushing to the studio, Ning Xi immediately called Han Momo over. Momo, is there any result about the thing I asked you to inquire about the day before yesterday? Yes, Director Wang's schedule this morning is at the golf course in the western suburbs. Okay, I got it. Ning Xi turned on the computer and revised the proposal again. Upon seeing this, Gong Shengzi frowned. He put down the design manuscript in his hands and walked over. Boss, why don't I go this time? Don't you have to film in the afternoon? I have to rush to Western Zhejiang now, and from Western Zhejiang to the set, it's too tiring. It's okay. You don't have to worry about that. Just focus on your design. Ning Xi patted him on the shoulder and prepared to leave. Just as he picked up his bag and was about to take a step, a calm voice came from the office next door. You're just wasting your energy. The person who spoke was Qiao Weilan. Hearing this, Han Momo immediately looked unhappy. They were all working hard for the studio, and they didn't ask for any help. Why did she have to pour cold water on them? Chapter 9:17. Ning Xi's eyes flickered. She put down her bag, pulled out a chair, and sat opposite Qiao Weilan. Goddess. What can I do for you? As soon as Qiao Weilan raised her eyes, she saw Ning Xi sitting opposite her, and was immediately dazzled by her eyes full of curiosity. Under normal circumstances, normal people wouldn't be convinced after being hit like this, especially in such a tone. They might even start a fight. After all, the cooperation between them was too weak and there was no foundation. It was too easy to have conflicts. Ning Xi's attitude inevitably surprised her. In fact, she had been surprised many times since she came here. When she was sent here by Qin Shengyu at first, she had the attitude of completing the task and leaving. She wouldn't do anything else. There were too many artists like Ning Xi who had opened a studio and started their own brand. They were just there for show. They were all superficial and arrogant. There was no need for her to talk to such people. She believed that Ning Xi was the same. Therefore, she held the principle that it was better to have less trouble. She didn't want to waste any extra energy in this kind of place. She didn't want to make any mistakes. However, as time went by, this girl really surprised her. Although she wasn't professional in many areas and even took a lot of day tours, she had been learning and making progress. She even had a lot of unique opinions. Gong Shangze treated this career with his life. Even Han Momo had a strong sense of collective honor for the studio. In this kind of atmosphere, she had already been unknowingly influenced by her own opinion. Just now, before her brain could react, her body had already impulsively opened her mouth. Although she was a little surprised, it was within her expectations. At this moment, in the face of the girl's humble eyes, Qiao Weilan finally said, "It's a commercial society now. People pay more attention to the outside than the inside. They prefer flashy things. Business is definitely not something that can be negotiated with perseverance. Your behavior, in the eyes of others, is nothing more than pestering." She quickly took out a small notebook and her eyes became brighter. "Then what should I do to make the person in charge of SF be interested in our brand?" Seeing she acting like a primary school student, Qiao Weilan coughed lightly and said, "It's impossible for the time being. That kind of company is very powerful and will never accept the agency of a brand of our level. No matter how perfect your proposal was, if you chose the wrong target, you would just be trying to fish from a tree. Right now, we don't even have a small client. It's not realistic for us to reach the top in a single step and negotiate with the industry's top companies in one go." She fell into deep thought as she listened. Qiao Weilan's words undoubtedly pointed out the crux of the matter. Perhaps it was because she had succeeded in persuading Qin Shengyu last time that she had subconsciously set a high goal for herself this time. After all, Qin Shengyu had played a little smart that time, and it was impossible to rely on luck and speculation every time. Seeing that she understood, Qiao Weilan continued, "In the current state of our studio, it's not suitable to cooperate with a big company like SF. According to our position, the most suitable partners are those socialites." Chapter 9:18. The problem now is, how do we open up the socialite market? Han Momo asked subconsciously. "Prepare 10 sets of clothes for me. I'll send them out," Qiao Weilan said. "What?" Han Momo's eyes widened. Send them out?" "Yes. We opened the studio to make money, not to do charity. If we just send them out, we'll lose everything." Han Momo was surprised and looked at Qiao Weilan suspiciously. She had thought she had a good idea. She was too blind. After a moment of silence, she looked at Gong Shangze and asked, "How many sets of advanced custom-made clothes do we have now?" "Exactly 10, but we were going to release them as a new product." Gong Shangze answered. She said directly, "Then don't release it. Leave it to Director Qiao." Qiao Weilan nodded slightly and then looked at Gong Shangze. "I need detailed information about each set of clothes, material, design concept." While Qiao Weilan was talking to Gong Shangze, Han Momo hurriedly pulled Shi aside and said in a low voice, "Sister Shi, this is too risky. I've calculated that the total value of those clothes is at least a few million. We've used the best materials and quality. If we give them away for free, we'll lose almost all of our profits during this period of time. It'll cause a rupture in our capital chain. Don't use people you doubt." She narrowed her eyes and then gritted her teeth. "Besides, you can't get a wolf without risking your life." She had waited for so long and finally Qiao Weilan took the initiative to intervene in the studio's business. How could she let go of this opportunity? Even if she failed, she would accept it. Moreover, she didn't think she would fail. Qiao Weilan said she would be responsible for sending the clothes out. This meant that she was going to use her own connections for the studio. Connections were Qiao Weilan's greatest weapon. Seeing Shi's firm attitude and confidence, Han Momo didn't try to persuade her anymore. Gong Shangze was packing up the clothes with Han Momo when Shi suddenly rushed over. "Oh, wait, oh, my little sweethearts, let me say goodbye to them." Han Momo was speechless. She didn't know who said it so directly just now. Did she really think that she didn't care at all? He didn't feel any heartache at all. Qiao Weilan looked at Shi's expression, as if her flesh was being cut off. A smile appeared on her face, but at the same time, her heart was even more touched. It could be seen that Ningxi's current economic conditions were not very good, and these clothes were all the liquid funds of the whole studio. However, she still chose to believe her without hesitation. Ningxi kissed those beautiful clothes one by one, and then suddenly thought of something. Ah, wait, by the way, Director Qiao, I have a good friend here. She's super beautiful and cute, and her identity must be in line with the position of our studio. Can you give me one for her? Qiao Weilan nodded. Of course, you're the boss. I am indeed the boss, but you are the light. Ningxi was overjoyed when she got the approval. Then, she chose a set of youthful and lively clothes for young girls. Oh my! This dress will definitely look good on my Kuer. And it was so expensive. They absolutely could not let outsiders benefit from this. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.